Jacob and the crude oil. Jacob had now been on the Redcliff and Guinea Bridge Railway for about 5 days now, but after some wagons pushed him down the Becksgate flyover, the other engines had been mocking him for it. This made him an arrogant engine, and this story is all about how it died down in the end. It all started when David was taking a freight train which consisted of a fuel tanker. What David didn't know was that it was leaking and a huge splash of crude oil fell onto the tracks just before the level crossing at Raiden City, leaving the tracks very slippery and potentially causing disaster. In fact, disaster was inevitable. Later on, a lorry load of manure broke down on the level crossing and the driver had gone to call for a mechanic. But he had been gone too long to stop disaster from happening. Peter was coming down the line with a freight train bound for Guinea Bridge Junction. Suddenly he saw the lorry on the level crossing and tried to stop, but his wheels just slipped on the oily rails. Peter couldn't stop in time. He crashed straight through the lorry and came to a screeching halt, and by the time he had come to a stop, he was covered in brown, thick, smelly cow manure. Workmen were soon on the scene to help clear up the mess, along with Mr. Eric. I cannot believe it! How could something like this happen? Please, sir, it's not my fault. The rails were slippery and I couldn't stop in time. Now, Peter, don't worry about it. This accident was no one's fault. We didn't know that the oil tanker on David's train was leaking, and we didn't know that this lorry was going to break down on a level crossing, so it's no one's fault. Just try to relax now, okay, Peter? Yes, sir. Just then, Jacob chuffed past with a picnic flyer. He recoiled in horror when he smelt Peter covered in the cow manure.
Ew! What is that awful smell?
Well, Jacob, I think it's the manure, and it seems to be coming from Peter over there.
Well, Peter needs to get himself cleaned up as soon as possible. That manure is making him reek.
And Jacob continued on with his journey to Guinea Bridge. That night in the loco yard, Peter was being cleaned and everyone else was except Jacob was giving him sympathy. Don't worry, Peter. Like Mr. Eric said, it wasn't your fault. Yeah, you couldn't help any of the events that led up to your accident with the lorry. But Jacob didn't think it was very fair that the others were giving him sympathy.
Unbelievable! You guys give Peter sympathy when he crashes, but mock me when wagons push me down a hill?
Jacob, there is a big difference between something that causes someone pain and something that is funny. Peter's accident caused him a lot of pain today. That's why we are giving him sympathy. You, on the other hand, did not have any pain when the wagons pushed you down the hill on the Becksgate flyover.
I may have not had any physical pain, but I certainly had some mental pain. I felt very silly after the wagons pushed me, and you guys mocking me only made it worse.
Jacob, we didn't mean to mock you or cause you any mental pain. We were just trying to get you to see the funny side of your mishap. There is nothing funny about Peter's accident because he suffered physical pain when he crashed into that lorry. Also, he got dirty and smelly from it too. You, on the other hand, did not suffer any of those things with your wagon mishap. That makes it silly and funny. Why can't you just see the funny side of it?
I will never see the funny side of it. There is nothing funny about it. That incident caused me a lot of mental pain, and I want you lot to stop talking about it altogether. I'll have no more of it. Now, good night.
He'll never learn, will he? The next day, Jacob went to the rolling stock yard to pick up his first freight train of the day. While he was there, he met Brian. Hi Jacob, how are you today?
Not in the best of moods, Brian. I hate all these wagons teasing and harassing me. They can be so annoying sometimes. Oh, okay. Well, I hope you will be able to get them into order one day. I hope so too. Well, it best be off. I don't want to be late, though I am probably going to be anyway because of these stupid wagons.
Okay then, see you later, Jacob. And Jacob puffed away with the badly behaved wagons in tow. Jacob was not kidding when he said the wagons were stupid. Jacob and the wagons really did not like each other at all. They were being so rough with him that they were denting his tender. By the time they reached Raiden City, it was so damaged that the fireman had to fill all of the dents with some car body filler. Later on, he had to wait for Peter to come through with his passenger train. This gave Jacob a cheeky idea. He was going to mock Peter to see how he liked it, because he was jealous of Peter giving him sympathy from the others, whilst they would mock Jacob. So as Peter passed, Jacob said, "Ew, manure!" But there was no comment from Peter as he rolled past.
Darn it! Well, I'll just have to keep doing it every time I see him until he gets fed up with it.
And that's just what he did. Every time he saw Peter, that's what he said to him. This went on for a few more days until finally Peter lost his patience. He was just waiting at Guinea Bridge Junction when Jacob steamed in.
Ew, manure!
Jacob, why are you painted in so many different colours?
Because I'm a very important engine, ready for anything. You never see my paint dirty.
Ah, well maybe you weren't ready for the wagons when they pushed you down the Bexgate flyover. Jacob's face turned red with rage. He was so cross with Peter for reminding him of that awful day for him. In fact, he was so cross that his steam pressure went up suddenly and his safety valve blew off.
Why, you little! Don't ever bring that up again! Or else!
Then Jacob puffed angrily away. When Jacob reached Redcliff, he left the coaches and got ready for his next train. It was a slow freight, stopping at every station to pick up and set down goods in the wagons. Jacob really hated slow freight trains more than he hated any other kind of freight train.
Dirty wagons from dirty sidings. Ugh!
Starting with only a few, he picked up more and more goods at each station till his train was fully loaded. At first the wagons behaved well, but Jacob bumped them so crossly that they were determined to get back at him. So on the return journey back to Redcliff from Guinea Bridge Junction, the wagons made their plan. Soon they were approaching the top of the Bexgate flyover. Normally, heavy freight trains such as Jacob would stop here to pin down their brakes. But Jacob was too stressed to remember this. The wagon's chance had come. They started bumping into each other, and with all their effort they pushed Jacob right down the hill. Go faster! Go faster! Push him! Shove him!
Stop it at once! Stop it at once!
And Jacob set his brakes as hard as he could with the help from the conductor who had the emergency brake on the last wagon. They raced straight past Robert. Slow down, Jacob! I can't! Then there was more trouble. Some faulty points diverted Jacob into the rolling stock yard. Jacob shut his eyes tight. He didn't dare look at what was coming next. Just up ahead of him was a train of crude oil waiting to be taken to Guinea Bridge Junction. Jacob was about to experience the worst accident he had ever had in his life. There was a bursting crash and something wet and slippery splashed all over Jacob. He had crashed right into the crude oil train and was brown from smokebox to tender. He was more dirty than hurt. But the oil wagons and some of Jacob's wagons were completely off the tracks. Luckily, Brian had heard the crash, and so he fetched Colin the maintenance crane, and they both soon tidied up the mess. Peter and David were also sent to help, and they came as quickly as they could. Well, 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 David, just look what we've got here. Whatever is that dirty object? Oh, well, that's Jacob, didn't you know? Oh, well, it's Jacob's shape, all right, but Jacob claims he's a very important engine, ready for anything, and that you never see his paint dirty. Jacob just pretended he hadn't heard. He was far too ashamed to even speak. David and Peter cleaned up the remaining mess, then they helped Jacob back to the station. When they got there, Mr. Out was waiting for them. Well done, David and Peter. Then he turned to Jacob. Fancy letting your wagons run away again, Jacob. I am surprised. I thought you would have learned how to control them by now.
But sir, it's not my fault. I was too stressed to remember to stop.
Oh, it's quite all right, Jacob. I knew that. But anyhow, you're not fit to be seen. You must be cleaned and repaired at once. And Peter, for all your hard work today, you shall receive a new coat of paint. Please, sir, can I have one too? All right then, David. I don't see why not. Oh, thank you, sir. The others will be very pleased for me and Peter. All Jacob could do was watch Peter and David run off happily to tell the others the good news for them, and it was clear to Mr. Eric that Jacob had indeed learned his lesson. Bum 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 bum, train number 16.